Hi, everybody, once again. This is, of course, Jeff Adams from the Icebox Radio Theater, coming to you from International Falls, Minnesota. Welcome to the Icebox Radio Workshop and this special recording of a live show that we performed here in International Falls on June the 7th, 2017. It was an outdoor show performed at the Pete Peterson Bandshell in Smoky Bear Park. Yes, those are all real names. And it was a very nice evening, kind of cloudy. We had a little bit of rain, but umbrellas were in the crowd. They stayed right with us, and it was a wonderful time. Now, this is kind of an unusual show for us because we haven't done a live show of old-time radio in quite some time, and it is, in fact, a double-header. It is an edition of The Lone Ranger, a play entitled Bad Man's Medicine, and then we followed it up with an edition of Our Miss Brooks starring Victoria Olsen, that one, of course, entitled Friday the 13th. This was the final live show that Victoria did for us before moving from International Falls. She and her family relocated to St. Paul, Minnesota, so it was kind of a goodbye to Victoria as well. Music by Myron Howerlick. One more note, this was the only live Icebox Radio Theater show in history to feature no pre-recorded music or sound effects. Everything was done live. Believe the credits are on there as well, so without further ado, here is a live recording of Return With Us Now from the Icebox Radio Theater. What a moment to come in on. Thank you so much for braving the chance of rain. Welcome to the Concerts in the Park. We are the Icebox Radio Theater. And tonight we're going to do something a little different. We're going to do two plays that aren't written by us. They're recreations of old-time radio, The Lone Ranger, as well as Our Miss Brooks. Just want to let you know, before we begin our show, we of the Icebox Radio Theater wanted to reiterate that our first presentation, which is an episode of the old Lone Ranger radio show, is presented here in tribute to a bygone era. As you might expect by the subject matter, the episode does include representations of Native Americans that are not really friendly, fair, or accurate. They are, however, an accurate representation of this culture's attitudes towards Native Americans when the radio program was produced. That was 74 years ago next month. We ask only that you accept our offering in the spirit we present as a chance to return to the fabled West of yesteryear. And if you're eager to travel back with us, and perhaps a little impatient with announcements like this one, we remind you that for many Americans, the past is not a pleasant place, and we ought not to remember this period in time or radio programs about this period in time without reiterating that they are not the truth, they are fiction, as are we. Ladies and gentlemen, the IBRT presents Come Back With Us, Return With Us Now, and The Lone Ranger.
Western United States. Nowhere in the pages of history can one find a greater champion of justice. Return with us now to those thrilling days of yesteryear. From out of the past come the thundering hoofbeats of the great horse, Silver. The Lone Ranger rides again.
Come on, Silver. There's danger on the trail ahead. Hi-yo, Silver! Away!
It was early Saturday evening when Dr. Harvey Preston arrived in Canyon City. A few curious eyes noted the progress of the spring wagon driven by the young doctor as he came to a stop in front of the town's only hotel. Entering the two-story frame building, Preston was aware of the sudden hush in conversation in the lobby of the hotel.
I'd like to get a room, please.
Yeah? For how long?
Well, that depends until I can find a house.
Well, plenty of houses in Canyon City. Ain't many of them fit to live in, though. Here, sign your name.
All right.
There. That'll be $1, mister. In advance.
In advance. All right, here you are.
Yeah. Any other night you could sleep here on credit. But Saturday night, that's when some fellas get a touch of lead poisoning in this town.
So I've heard.
Let's see now. What's your name? Oh, Preston, eh? Dr. Harvey Preston. Say, are you a doctor?
Don't I look like one?
Well, what do you know about that? You sure look mighty young to be a sawbones, mister.
Well, I hope that won't be against me. You see, I'm gonna work here.
You don't say.
By the way, can I get someone to take care of the team?
Sure, Doc. I reckon we can fix you up all right.
Thanks, I'd be glad to pay for the trouble.
Hey, you the no sawbones, Sonny?
My name is Preston.
A pretty fair doctor?
What's your trouble?
Well, I'd like to have you look at a sick mule I got over at the stables.
Uh-huh, and what seems to be wrong with the animal?
Oh, I don't rightly know, Sonny. She might be, just lonesome, maybe.
Well, there's only one remedy for a case like that, mister.
Yeah? What?
Go sit in the stall with her and keep her company.
Why, you fresh young upstart, I have a good mind to deck you.
Keep your hands off of me.
Listen, you pipsqueak, my name's Taggart, see? Big Taggart. That's me. I say you gotta go look at my sick mule. You gotta go.
In the first place, my friend, I'm not a horse doctor. Second place, you haven't got a sick mule. In the third place, I don't take orders from any man in your condition.
Oh, doggone your hide. I'll bust you in two. That ought to teach you some manners.
Well, maybe we can both learn something, Taggart.
Ow! Why, I'll kill you for that. Nobody ever hit Big Taggart and lived to brag about it. I'll show you. Let me get my hands on you, and I'll crush the daylights out of you.
Oh, watch it, kid. Don't let him get his hands on you.
Don't worry about that. Got enough, Taggart?
Oh, I'm gonna blow your brains out.
Oh, look out! He's got a gun.
Oh, no, you don't.
Well, I declare, Big Taggart sure must be slipping.
Yeah, he slipped, partner, and fell.
Looks like the doc already found himself a patient to work on.
Yeah, you got a nice job of patching up to do there, Doc.
Sorry, I don't like working on coyotes any more than I do working on jugheads. Hey, say, young fellow, you want to earn $1?
Huh? Well, why, yeah, I guess so.
Fine. Come along and give me a hand to carry some luggage up to my room. Here we are. You take that suitcase and the small bag there. I'll handle this big one.
Yes, sir.
Where's the Lone Ranger, Dan?
He and Tonto are camped about 6 miles west, just outside of Stony Ridge.
Good. As soon as we get this stuff upstairs, ride out and tell them that I'm here.
Yes, sir.
Tell them I've already had a run-in with Big Taggart.
I sure will.
Tell the Lone Ranger I'll be waiting for him in my room. Come on, boy, let's get up with those bags.
At Canyon City were asleep when the masked rider of the plains drew his great white stallion to a halt at the rear of the small hotel. At his side, like a grim figure carved in the pale moonlight, sat the stalwart Indian companion, Tonto.
Well, according to Dan, that should be Preston's room just above us.
I'll stay here, watch the horses.
Yes, Tonto. And if you see anything suspicious, make the signal.
I'll keep close watch, Kimosabi.
Well, I hope this is the right room. Should be able to make it by standing in the saddle. Steady, Silver.
The Masked Man, glad to see ya.
Good to know you got here safely, Preston.
Tell me, what's going on here?
Well, I can only tell you part of it. The rest remains to be learned.
I suppose Dan told you about the incident with Taggart?
Yes, and with his influence, you'll very likely find you already have several enemies in town.
Fine. The sooner I learn who those enemies are, the sooner I'll know who I'm after.
You have to be careful. If they get suspicious, you're a dead man, Preston.
That's the chance we have to take in this business.
Yes, I know.
What do you know about Taggart?
Only that he operates the stage and freight lines. He has a virtual monopoly on transportation in Big Bend County.
There have been competitors, though.
Yes, but none ever lasted very long. It seems that Taggart isn't fond of competition.
What about this government stuff he's been hauling?
Well, 6 months ago, Taggart got a contract to haul government supplies from the railroad at Natchez Point up to the Army outpost on Wolf River.
Yes?
Last week, one of Taggart's wagons left the railroad with a store of new Army rifles and a couple dozen cases of ammunition. Those rifles and cartridges never reached Wolf River. The guard and the wagon driver were found dead. The horses were gone and the wagon was burned to ashes.
Whoever pulled that job wasn't taking any chances.
Every outlaw has to take a chance sooner or later.
Yes, you're right. Frankly, though, I was surprised when you sent for me. Usually you don't call for help.
I sent for you because of your medical training. You see, Preston, the guard and the driver on that freight wagon put up a fight before they died. And I have reason to believe that some of the outlaws may have been wounded. There's no doctor here in Canyon City, so I thought of you.
I get it. So as soon as the word gets around there's a doctor in town, I'm likely to have visitors, huh?
Exactly.
Well, it'll be something of a novelty for Dr. Harvey Preston to be giving out aid and comfort to a bunch of outlaws.
Don't take this thing too lightly, Preston. The men we're up against are cold-blooded killers. We've got to catch them, you understand?
Yes, I know that.
When they raided that freight wagon, they secured enough arms and ammunition to fight an army. Our job is to break up this gang before they can organize and sell those rifles, or whatever else they might be planning to use them for.
You're right. If this thing isn't smashed now, we'll be up against the worst band of outlaws the West has ever known.
I'll be going now, but I'm leaving Tonto to watch this hotel. He'll be around in case you want to get in touch with me. And if you should leave town, Tonto will follow your trail wherever you go.
I'm glad to know that.
Just remember this. If you do have visitors, and they find out who you really are a dead man.
Big Taggart suffered many painful bruises from his fistic encounter with Harvey Preston. But what was most embarrassing was the thought that he had actually been whipped in a fistfight by a man much smaller than himself. Leaving the hotel, Taggart got his horse and rode furiously for the hills. An hour's ride brought him to a well-hidden rendezvous. Here he reined the sweating horse to a halt, dismounted, and ran into the frame shack.
Holy mackerel, Chief, what happened to you?
You look like you've been sorting wildcats.
Oh, never mind that. You gents listen to me.
Oh, what's up, boss? Anything wrong?
Oh, no. Something lucky for Shorty and Vance and Kramer there.
Huh? What do you mean, something lucky?
Slick, there's a young sawbones in town named Harvey Preston.
A doctor, eh? Well, that's fine. I reckon now we can get you and Jaspers patched up right.
Yeah, although you don't deserve nothing. Being so careless that you let them birds on that freight wagon shoot you full of holes.
We already explained that, Big. Those fellows saw us just before we got ready to crack down on them.
Oh, I know. Only next time, don't let the same mistake happen again. Slick, I want you to saddle up and go fetch that sawbones out here. See that he gets those boys patched up real good, and then see that he stays here. Understand?
Sure, boss. I know what you mean.
I got a personal score to settle with that smart aleck.
You mean the doctor's the one that made you look like that?
Never mind what I mean. Slick, you better get started.
Oh, yeah, sure. I'll go. Hey, boss. Come here, quick.
What is it, Ellis?
Oh, a bunch of riders, boss. They be coming this way fast.
Riders?
Yeah, they're Indians, boss.
Oh, it's that bunch of Apaches. Slick, the ones I got them guns for?
Must be 40 or 50 in that bunch. That's old Red Fox himself.
Oh, don't know what's on his mind, but keep your eyes peeled.
Red Fox make powwow with Big Taggart.
Hiya, Red Fox. Light and let loose your saddle a spell.
Red Fox want many moon for guns. White man promise, not get gun. Why?
I had a little trouble there, Red Fox. Some of my men got shot at. That's why I ain't been able to deliver them to you.
Red Fox not like white man tell lie.
Oh, now listen here, chief or no chief. Don't you come riding into my place and start calling me names. You want those guns so blame fast? Lay down the money and take them yourself.
Where gun now, Taggart?
They're all right. Don't worry about that. You got the money?
Red Fox give money when white man give gun.
How do I know I can trust you? That's quite a bunch of men you got there.
Red Fox have many more men close by.
More men? You mean you brought... Hey, you riding with a war party, Red Fox?
Red Fox have 500 braves hidden hills.
Whoa! 500? I say, you must be planning something big.
Indian will own many fine cattle, horse. Apache be powerful tribe again. But first, warrior ride against pale-faced soldier.
You mean you got 500 Indians ready to ride against the Wolf River outpost?
Now where you hide rifle and bullet?
We'll be back to the Lone Ranger's exciting adventure in just a moment.
Watch out! Watch out! Watch out for
cigarette hangover.
That stale, musty, smoked-out taste in your mouth.
Cigarette hangover.
That tight, dry, uncomfortable feeling in your throat.
Cigarette hangover.
That's what takes the joy out of smoking. And when that happens to you, it's time to switch to Philip Morris. Remember,
over 2 million more smokers have switched to Philip Morris.
Yes, if you're tired of cigarette hangover, join the millions who've discovered in Philip Morris a milder smoke, a cleaner, fresher smoke than they've ever known before.
Over 2 million more smokers have switched to Philip Morris.
Remember, Philip Morris is the one, the only cigarette proved definitely less irritating, proved definitely milder than any other leading brand. No other cigarette can make that statement.
Remember, top-ranking doctors, eminent nose and throat specialists actually suggest Philip Morris in cases of irritation due to smoking.
Above all, remember this: you'll be glad tomorrow you smoked Philip Morris today.
To continue our story, after the Lone Ranger had left the hotel in Canyon City, Harvey Preston checked over his medical kit. Finally, satisfied with the contents, he straightened up and snapped the bag shut.
There, that's a pretty complete kit. Even the 6-shooter in the bottom with 45 caliber pills. Who's there?
Open up, Doc. Someone's been hurt.
Just a minute. Come on in. What's happened?
My name's Nillis, Slick Nillis. A fellow out at our place has gotten hurt.
Hurt? What with? How?
You'd better come out and take a look at him, Doc.
Well, certainly, Mr. Nellis, but surely you can tell me what's wrong with the man.
You'd better bring plenty of medicine or whatever you need. There's more than one.
Oh, should I bring some sort of treatment for gunshot wounds?
You're a smart boy, Doc. Now hustle up and let's be going.
Well, I'm not so sure. I don't want to get mixed up with no gunfighters.
Maybe this will help you make up your mind.
That gun doesn't leave me very much choice in the matter. By the way, how far is it to this place?
Never mind asking so many questions. Just get your stuff and come on.
Sure. My bag's all packed. Just a second. I'd better close this window in case it rains.
Why bother with that? Hurry up. Well, come on. Let's go.
Right with you.
And don't try anything cute through the hotel. Just act natural. Here. I got 2 horses over here.
You think of everything, my friend.
Yeah. All set? Let's go, Doc.
Right. Giddy up.
Young doctor get visitor sooner than we think. Get him up, Scout.
Ooh. Whoa. Ooh. Wow. You can take that blindfold off now if you want to.
Thanks very much.
There's some pretty riled up hombres in here, so I wouldn't advise you try any tricks.
Oh, don't worry about me.
About time you got here, Slick.
Looks pretty young to be a sawbones. You reckon he knows his business?
He'd better know his business, that's all I gotta say.
If you men'll stop talking and get out of the way, I'll go to work. Here, get this man's shirt off. Somebody, get busy and boil some water, a lot of it.
Hey, who's this bird think he is, yelling orders so free and easy?
Shut up and do like the doc says. Go on.
Nellis, you've got 2 or 3 pretty bad cases here. These bandages are filthy dirty. There's a real danger of infection.
You're gonna fix me up all right, ain't you, Doc?
I'll do the best that I can. I'll have to sterilize this wound before it can be bandaged. I don't suppose it would be smart to ask how this happened?
Just don't get too curious, Preston. You'll stay healthy.
Mm-hmm. Tell that man to hurry up with the... Nellis, why in the world didn't you tell me these men were so sick?
What's the matter, Doc?
Do you know what thrombosis of the, peripterombos is?
Huh?
Where's my bag? Quick! I only hope I brought enough of those tablets along.
Here's your satchel, Doc. What's wrong?
Nellis, this is a disease I've only encountered once before in my career.
Yeah? What happened, Doc?
The patient died. Yes, a horrible death, too, within 6 hours. And within 4 more, 3 of his friends died.
Hey, what are you talking about?
This man has contracted a very fatal disease, resulting from shock. Here, mister, open your mouth and swallow these tablets.
Shorty, you feeling that bad?
I feel terrible. It's Slick, and the disease.
Here, you swallow some of these. And you.
Sure, Doc. Did you bring plenty of them pills?
We'll soon find out, my friend. Nellis.
Yeah?
It'd be a good idea for you to take some of these tablets yourself.
Huh? Well, I ain't been hurt none.
I know, but you've been exposed to every man here.
You mean it's catching?
Yes, it certainly is. Here, swallow these just to be on the safe side.
Oh, I don't know. I might take one.
One wouldn't be enough. Take 3 or 4.
Well, I guess if you say so.
Yes. Here, take them quickly.
Wait, somebody's coming. Why, boss, what are you doing out here this time of night? What's the gun for?
Well, I brung you some news, Slick. Some real news. This cannon is for your friend here, the doctor.
Slick.
Oh, hey! Oh, what in the... Shorty just keeled over. Doc, what was in them pills you was handing out?
Those were sleeping tablets, Nellis. Your boys won't bother anybody for quite a spell.
Oh, why, you low-down coyote, what kind of sawbones are you? What's the idea?
I can answer that for you, Slick. Our friend the doctor here happens to be a Texas Ranger.
Texas Ranger?
Yeah, and that ain't all. This Jasper's in cahoots with a masked man that calls himself the Lone Ranger.
You mean that hombre that owns the big white stallion?
Oh, yeah, that's him. You see, Preston, if that's your name, that clerk down at the hotel happens to be on my payroll.
Some people will take any kind of money, won't they?
It didn't take much to make him go through your luggage up there. And what he found made him real curious. And he was right outside your door when that masked man came a-calling.
Hey, look at Kramer, boss. He's gone to sleep with the rest of them.
Oh, you got something in that satchel to bring him out of it?
Yes, since you've got me, I suppose it makes no difference if they do wake up now.
Well, then get busy with it, whatever it is.
I've got some special pills here, somewhere in the bottom of my bag.
This hadn't be another one of your tricks, Preston. Because if these pills don't work, you're a dead man.
These pills always work, Nellis. They're 45 pills. Good medicine for bad men.
Look out!
You double-crossing Tin Star!
You drop gun! Drop gun or me drop you.
Good work, Tonto.
Oh, doggone your scheming hide, Preston. You like to shot my arm off.
Too bad I didn't. Tonto, let's get these men hogtied.
Gotta tie 'em up really good. They not move for a long time.
And those others on the bunk over there, we'll get them for safekeeping too.
We'll fix 'em.
This, I guess, cleans up a bad job. For once, the job is finished without help from the Lone Ranger.
No, you wrong. We need Lone Ranger bad now.
But how?
Tonto, scout from camp here. Find big war party of Apache.
Apaches? Way down here?
They have many new rifles and much ammunition. I'll get close to their camp, and I heard them make war talk. They ride into soldiers' camp on Wolf River.
Wait a minute. Taggart, you sold those rifles to the Indians.
You can't prove nothing.
Tonto, you're right. We do need the Lone Ranger, and we'd better hurry.
Leaving the outlaws securely bound in their own shack, Tonto and Preston rode like the wind to the Lone Ranger's camp. Within a matter of moments, the masked rider of the plains saddled the great horse Silver and was ready to ride.
Dan, do you think you'll find the trail to the outlaws' camp from Tonto's description?
I'm sure I can, sir.
Good. Take Victor and ride as fast as you can for the sheriff. Tell him to get some men together and bring those killers into jail.
All right. Anything else?
Yes. Tell the sheriff that Captain Harvey Preston of the Texas Rangers will be in to take charge of the prisoners.
Yes, sir. Come on, Victor.
Tonto, the captain and I are going to try to stop those Indians when they start for the garrison, but we may not be able to.
Many warriors in that party.
I know, but it's a chance.
What's your plan, sir?
I'll explain it on the way. Tonto, ride to the garrison. Tell the officer in charge that this war party is on the way and to get his men out of the stockade. They'll never have a chance if they're caught up in there.
Get 'em up, scouts.
Might be a good idea if the soldiers were to get out of where in the trail and catch the Indians.
Well, if my plan works, they'll never reach the garrison. Come on, Captain, let's ride.
The Lone Ranger and Captain Preston raced their horses along the canyon road, then up through the scattered sagebrush along the slope leading to the summit of Stony Ridge. The first faint streaks of dawn found the two men laboriously prying with long poles at the great pile of rocks and boulders.
Come on. It's getting daylight, Captain, and we haven't made much progress.
If only we could get a couple of these biggest ones started. It'd bring an avalanche of stones down onto that trail.
The path leading out of the canyon is just narrow enough.
Let's both get on this pole and try to start one of those big boulders.
Right.
Come on, move.
It's too big. We can't even budge it.
Preston, listen.
Yes, they're coming. Those Indians will be through the canyon before we can stop them.
Haven't helped those soldiers if we don't stop them.
And we haven't been able to move enough rock to block even part of the trail.
Wait a minute. Give me your saddle rope. Here, Silver. Come on, boy. We'll tie our two ropes together, throw a loop over that biggest boulder, and let Silver pull while we pry with the pole.
If it works, we'll start a regular landslide.
Hurry. They're coming up to the canyon now. Here. Ready, Preston? This is our last chance.
I'm ready.
Silver, go, boy. Pull hard. Now, Captain, heave. Pull, Silver. Pull harder.
Look out. There it goes.
Cut those ropes off. Go on, Silver. Move out. We made it, Captain. They're blocked.
Yes, thanks to that magnificent horse. I'd hate to think what would have happened if they'd gotten through the pass. There are enough warriors down there to massacre that garrison.
Look down the slope, Preston. Here comes Tonto and the soldiers from Wolf River.
They're just in time to block the exit at the other end of the canyon.
turned a mighty good trick. I think we owe our lives to you. So, you're the Lone Ranger. I'm proud to meet you.
Thank you, sir. This is Captain Harvey Preston on special duty with the Texas Rangers.
How do you do, sir?
How do you do?
We'll keep those warriors pinned up down there till they get ready to throw down their rifles.
Your rifles, Colonel. Big Taggart made a deal with Chief Red Fox.
Taggart? Why, that thieving polecat.
He's more than a thief, sir. He murdered his own guard and driver to get those rifles to the Indians.
So, that's what your friend was trying to tell me. About the Lone Ranger being out here trying to stop a bunch of Indians on the warpath. I figured our best bet was to ride out and meet them. We started right then.
Colonel, I've got Taggart and his men prisoners. I wonder if you could arrange an escort to help me get them to San Antone?
Sure, Captain. It'd be a pleasure to get that scoundrel into prison. And I want to say it's a blame good thing for all of us that the masked man here found that... Oh, well... No, where on earth did they go?
Why, he was just here a second ago.
Hi-yo, Silver! Away! Get him up, Scout!
This has been The Lone Ranger, Bad Man's Medicine, presented as a tribute by the Icebox Radio Theater. Featured tonight in our broadcast were Cody Boyer, David Griffith, Doug Screef, and Jeffrey Adams. Caleb Silvers was Dr. Preston, and Justin Kapla was the Lone Ranger. Sound effects by Jeffrey Adams and Dave Irwin, and music director Myron Harlick. Your announcer this evening was yours truly, Karen Schickel.
This one up. A couple announcements. We're going to take a little bit of a break now. We do have a clearance sale of our merchandise: t-shirts, hoodies, mugs, all over there under the overhang. We're not going to take too long of a break because the weather might still come, but we're going to reset and get ready for our Miss Brooks, starring our own Victoria Olsen. In the meantime, let's turn it over to, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Myron Howerlick.
A little song called "The Baby Boomer's Lament." Baby boomer generation, always living like a king. Been round long enough to see most everything. Looking back on the 60s, looking back up the line, hippies turning 60, but 60 is the new 49. Made a lot of free love, had the world by the tail without knowing it, changed from high times to hybrids, smoking grass became moaning, went from double shots of whiskey to double chins, then ripped abs that got sloppy. The computer's not the only hard drive that's grown all floppy. I used to have long hair, but hair's just a memory. Senior moments come way too often, and the battery's got a dead battery. I rocked out in days of Woodstock. Now we tell the kids, turn it down. I used to love to throw my weight around. Now I need to try and shed a pound. Baby boomer generation, always living like a king. Been round long enough to see most everything. Looking back on the 60s, looking back up the line, the hippies in his 60s, the 60s a new 49. Cruised around looking for love. Now we don't go out after dark. Went from Maryland to Madonna, from a commune to a condo in the park. Went from playing in the sun to napping in the shade. Once I could rise to the occasion. Now I take Viagra, still can't get a date. In early years, we were so damn wild. Later on, so tame. We tried hard to be different, but we wound up all the same. My mind used to be a sponge, but now it's a sieve. Inside every big old body is a skinny young one screaming, let me get out and live. Baby boomer generation, always living like a king. Been round long enough to see most everything. Baby, looking back on the 60s, looking back up the line. The hippies in his 60s, the 60s the new 49. He never used to travel no town, 'cause he thought they were lying. An analog guy in a digital world, old as dirt, time keeps a flying. Baby boomer generation, always living like a king. Been round long enough to see most everything. Baby boomer generation, looking back up the line. The hippies in his 60s, but feels like 69. Yeah, the hippies in his 60s, but he feels like 69.
Thank you.
Byron Harlick, ladies and gentlemen.
Palmolive Soap, your beauty, hope, and luster cream shampoo. For soft, glamorous, caressable hair, bring you our Miss Brooks, starring Victoria Olsen.
For many people, Friday the 13th brings the feeling of impending misfortune. But our Miss Brooks, who teaches English at Madison High School, doesn't believe in such superstitions.
No, indeed. I don't need any special day to be unlucky. In fact, ladders shy away when I come near them. And every mirror in the house has 7 years bad luck because I'm always broke. Last Friday was no exception. Have you ever opened your eyes in the morning and felt that everything was going to go wrong that day, and then realized that you'd already made your first mistake by opening your eyes? Well, that's how I felt on Friday when Mrs. Davis entered my room.
Up you go, Connie. Up, up, up. Rise and shine.
I'm up, Mrs. Davis.
Up we go. Out of the sack and hit the deck.
I'm hitting.
When you're down and out, lift your head and shout, it's gonna be a great day.
Well, I'll try it. It's gonna be a great day. It's gonna be nothing, and I know it.
Why, Connie, I'm surprised at you. You're not nervous about it being Friday the 13th, are you?
Oh, certainly not, Mrs. Davis.
Well, I am. And so is Minerva.
The cat?
Yes, especially after what happened to her this morning.
What was that?
A black dog crossed her path. Now cheer up, Connie. You'll feel better when you've got a nice breakfast under your belt.
Breakfast? Yes, that should help.
Then you'll go to school, you'll see your pupils and your friends on the faculty.
That'll be nice.
Oh, and your principal, Mr. Conklin.
Oh, there goes breakfast. Mrs. Davis, I think you have just psychoanalyzed me. The reason I never want to get up in the morning is that I'm afraid to face Mr. Conklin.
Well, you may not believe this, Connie, but he's probably just as afraid to face you. It's like my brother Victor's experience. You remember me talking about Victor, don't you? The absent-minded one?
Yes, I remember him, Mrs. Davis.
Of course, He's not as absent-minded as my sister, Angela. She's really a case.
Yes, I know. But about your brother.
My brother?
Victor?
Victor? What about Victor?
You started to tell me about his experience.
Oh, yes, he's had a lot of experience. Well, I'll go make some breakfast now.
Please, Mrs. Davis, drop the other shoe. You know, your brother Victor had an experience that had something to do with my being afraid to face Mr. Conklin.
Oh, that's right. Well, Victor was terribly afraid that a certain dog in his neighborhood would bite him if he ever got too close. But the psychiatrist who took care of Victor explained that the dog was probably afraid that Victor was going to kick him.
And?
Well, after a couple of months with the psychiatrist, my brother went right into that dog's yard, and they stayed there together for over an hour.
Really? What did they do?
Oh, they just stood around biting and kicking each other. Fortunately, a policeman came by and stopped it.
Yes, that was fortunate. Your brother probably couldn't have taken much more of that kicking. But, Mrs. Davis, I'm afraid my trouble with Mr. Conklin isn't really psychological. Whenever we get together, little accidents keep occurring.
Accidents?
Yes. Ink spilled on his shoes, flower pots fall on him, and yesterday, while he was bawling me out for transferring a tiny little flower pot from my windowsill to his head, he broke his glasses.
Well, maybe you better just stay out of his way for a while, dear. Now, before you do anything else, you've got to get a snapshot ready.
A snapshot?
Yes, Walter Denton called and said they're getting the yearbook ready, and they need snaps of the faculty.
Oh.
Now, I brought in your album, and we'll pick out a nice picture to give him.
Fine.
Now, let's see. Where's a nice one of you, Connie?
Oh, do you want to sit on the edge of the bed?
Oh, yes, I'll just sit on the edge of the bed, if I may. Oh, here's a nice one of you, Connie. Oh, Connie, how did you get down there on the floor?
I just came down with the mattress. Mrs. Davis, this is the second time this bed has collapsed, and you have got to do something about it.
I will, Connie. I'll see that you get lighter pillow slips. Now, you better get up and get dressed, and we can look at the album over breakfast.
All right, Mrs. Davis.
And watch those springs, Connie. They still have plenty of life in them. Connie? Connie, where are you now?
You were right about those springs, Mrs. Davis. I'm in the shower.
Now, we'll just push the breakfast dishes to one side. There. And look through your album for a nice picture for the yearbook.
Oh, I haven't gone through this album in a long time.
Oh, look at this one of you, Connie. I love your hair that way. Curling all over your head. It makes you look so youthful.
Well, that's what Mother thought. She didn't cut it till I was 9 weeks old.
Dear little Connie, draped out on that rug. What is it, a bearskin?
Oh, they certainly are. No, I don't think that would be the ideal picture for the yearbook, Mrs. Davis. Too dressy.
Oh, here's one taken at the beach. My, what a stunning bathing suit.
Oh, that's my French model bathing suit. It was taken at Lakeview Beach last summer.
And those sandals. Exquisite. Such a pretty design. All that handwork in the front, isn't it?
Well, sort of. Those are Dr. Scholl's corn plasters. Well, I better get ready. Walter Denton and Stretch Snodgrass should be picking me up at any minute.
Oh, they're such nice boys. But you know, Connie, I can't help but feel sorry for Stretch. He's a wonder athlete, I know, but honestly, for a 16-year-old boy, he has the mind of an 8-year-old simpleton.
Oh, that isn't fair, Mrs. Davis. Stretch has every bit the mentality of a 16-year-old simpleton.
Well, somewhere along the line, that boy's mental development has been arrested.
Arrested? It's been sentenced and shot. Now, you put away that album.
Oh, wait just a minute, Connie. Has, Mr. Boynton ever seen you in it?
In the album?
No, in the French bathing suit you're wearing in the snapshot.
Why, no. I don't believe the bashful biologist has seen me in that.
Well, he should. That would take his eyes off of his frogs for a minute. Now, let's take this picture out of the album so you can give it to the boys when they get here.
Oh, you're joking, Mrs. Davis. If Mr. Conklin saw a picture like that in the yearbook, steam would shoot through the top of his head.
I don't mean the whole picture, Connie. I've got this scissors here to cut off your head. That's all they need. There, sweetheart. There's your head, Connie.
Oh, just in time, Mrs. Davis. Now I can finish my coffee. That was very nice. Oh, would you mind answering that, Mrs. Davis? I'll go get my hat and bag and put the finishing touches on my face.
Oh, very well, Connie.
Hi, Mrs. Davis.
Hi, Mrs. Davis.
Oh, hello, Stretch. Walter, come in. Miss Brooks will be with you in a minute. She's just putting her face on.
Oh, we're in no hurry. Say, what's that picture you got in your hand?
This? Oh, this is Miss Brooks.
Well, let's see it. Gosh, now I know what you meant when you said she's putting on her face.
But where's her head, Mrs. Davis?
Her head? Oh, she's probably got that in her purse.
Oh. Well, her purse? How's she going to get along with no head?
Coming from you, Stretch, a question like that could be very embarrassing. Apparently this picture's been torn, Mrs. Davis.
Well, naturally. You said you just needed a snap of Miss Brooks's head for the yearbook, so we snipped that part off for you, Walter.
Oh, I get it. But, Mrs. Davis, can we have this lower part of the snapshot, too?
I don't see why not, Walter. When you get through with the yearbook, you can paste both parts back together again.
Gosh, if I may say so, Miss Brooks' figure sure looks beautiful in a bathing suit.
Especially in that one, Walter. That's a French bathing suit.
Yeah. How do you like it, Stretch?
Oh, I don't know. I don't understand French so good.
Well, neither do I, but in this case, all you gotta do is read between the lines.
Yeah. Hey, want me to carry the snapshot for you, Walter?
Oh, no thanks, Stretch. It's not heavy.
Well, I've got 2 chauffeurs today. Hello, boys.
Hi, Miss Brooks.
Oh, Stretch picked me up today on account of I had a little trouble with my clutch.
What kind of trouble, Walter?
I lost it.
You lost your clutch?
Oh, yes, ma'am, but I'll find it all right. It can't be much more than a block away from where the emergency brake fell off.
Oh, that's probably just a stone's throw from the motor. Oh, before I forget, here's a snapshot for the yearbook.
A snapshot of who? Oh, this is your face. Thanks, Miss Brooks.
Well, we better be going if we're going.
Yes, it's getting late. Now remember what I told you, Connie. Be sure and invite Mr. Boynton to take you swimming so he can see you in the bathing suit.
Please, Mrs. Davis. If Mr. Boynton wants to take me swimming, he'll take me swimming. I'm certainly not going to do anything about suggesting it to him. Until lunchtime.
Oh, we'd better step on it. We've got to pick up Mr. Conklin on the way to school.
Mr. Conklin?
Yeah. Harriet called me and told me that her mother had to take their car downtown early this morning, and she was counting on me to pick them up.
Oh, if I had known that, I would have gone to school on my pogo stick.
Well, so would I, but we can't let Walter down now, Miss Brooks. Besides, Mr. Conklin isn't so bad. For all we know, he's just as nervous about us as we are about him.
Stretch, you're not related to Mrs. Davis's brother Victor, are you? Well, I guess you must go to the same psychiatrist.
Our Miss Brooks will continue in just a moment. But first...
Here's wonderful news, ladies. Wonderful, wonderful news. Now there's something thrillingly new with Palmolive Soap's famous beauty lather. Yes, something thrillingly new. Palmolive's famous beauty lather now brings you new fragrance, new charm, new allure.
Millions of women will prefer beauty lather Palmolive over all other leading toilette soaps the minute they try it. For Palmolive's famous beauty lather now has a new, clean, flower-fresh fragrance for new allure, new charm.
So, ladies, forget all other beauty care and use Palmolive soap the way doctors advise for a lovelier complexion. Just stop improper cleansing and instead wash your face with Palmolive soap 3 times a day, massaging Palmolive's wonderful beauty lather onto your skin for 60 seconds each time to get a full beautifying effect. Then rinse. That's all. All types of skin, young, older, oily, respond to it quickly. Don't wait another day to try Palmolive Beauty Lather. You'll be thrilled by its new fragrance, new charm, new allure. Thrilled again by the fresher, brighter complexion doctors prove may soon be yours.
For a new loveliness all over, use big bath-size Palmolive in tub or shower.
As our Miss Brooks and the boys are on their way to pick up Mr. Conklin, let's look in on Madison's beloved principal as he and his daughter, Harriet, are finishing breakfast.
Well, Daddy, how did you like your breakfast?
It was very adequate, Harriet. Now, if you'll hand me my hat, please.
Here you are, Daddy.
It's a brand new one. How do you like it, my dear?
Well, it isn't very colorful, is it, Daddy?
Very few black Homburgs are. This suit is also new. It's the latest thing. Black sharkskin. Do you like it?
It's real chic, Daddy.
Of course, this tie may be a trifle loud with it. It's midnight blue. Do you think it's too loud, Harriet?
I can't hear a thing, Daddy. I mean, it looks fine.
This is the outfit I had my picture taken in. The one that's pinned on the bulletin board. Inasmuch as you are the yearbook editor, I want you to have a good photo.
Thanks, Daddy. Walter will appreciate it, too.
Denton? What has he got to do with it?
Well, he's associate editor of the yearbook, and he's giving us a lift today.
He doesn't give me a lift. In fact, if I may borrow an expression from the undergraduate body, he brings me down. What you see in that booby is beyond me.
He isn't a booby. Walter's the manager of the baseball team and editor of the Madison Monitor, and, well, he's just an all-around...
He's just an all-around...
Daddy!
All right. I won't say mine if you don't say yours.
I think it's very nice of Walter and Stretch to pick us up. After all, they had to get up earlier in the morning to stop for us after picking up Miss Brooks.
Miss Brooks? Will she be along?
Of course. Walter always takes her to school. What have you got against Miss Brooks?
Oh, nothing at all, Harriet. At least nothing that some new shoes, new glasses, and a head free of flower pots won't straighten out. I don't know what it is about that woman, but when she's in the vicinity, disaster rings in my bones. Oh, today is Friday the 13th.
Oh, please, Daddy, you're exaggerating. Miss Brooks is probably just as nervous about facing you as you are about facing her.
I doubt it. I wish we could get to school some other way. If only it wasn't so late, Oh, well, they've lifted the Berlin blockade. Maybe there's hope for me.
Well, here's Mr. Conklin's house.
Do you think he's still sore at you, Walter?
Yeah, but I just can't seem to put my finger on the reason. The way when Mr. Conklin looks upon me with his,
Would repugnance do it?
Is that bad?
Very bad.
Then that would do it. That's why I wrote this speech when I knew we were taking him to school.
Speech?
Yeah, so by the time we get to Madison, my future father-in-law and I will be buddies. Oh, before I honk the horn, I'd like you to hear this speech, Miss Brooks. It goes, Mr. Conklin, sir.
Excuse me, Walter, but Mr. Conklin, sir, and his daughter Harriet just came out on the porch.
Well, they must have seen us pull up.
Oh, she's leading him down the steps. Something must have happened to his glasses. Oh, yes.
Hello, Miss Brooks. Hi, boys.
Hi, Harriet.
Hi, Harriet.
So how are you this morning, Mr. Conklin?
Very well. so far. Get in, Harriet.
Yes, Daddy. I'll sit in front with the boys.
And you sit back here with me, Mr. Conklin. Here, I'll hold the door for you.
Thank you.
That's a lovely suit you have on. Is it new?
Yes, Miss Brooks. Brand new.
It's just your pocket, Mr. Conklin. I'll sew it up when we get to school. Go ahead, Stretch.
Mr. Conklin, sir.
Shut up, you boob.
I fixed Mr. Conklin's suit and unruffled his feathers when we got to school, and by lunchtime I was beginning to lose some of my feeling of foreboding, especially since Mr. Boynton had invited me to the cafeteria for lunch. Remembering Mrs. Davis's advice, I thought I'd try and get Mr. Boynton to ask me out swimming so I could show off my French bathing suit. I was extremely subtle about it. Did you enjoy your lunch, Mr. Boynton?
Oh, very, very much, Miss Brooks.
Me too. Let's go for a swim.
Isn't it a little early for that sort of thing?
Well, we could wait till after school. It would be later then.
I mean, early in the year, it's still quite brisk out.
Oh, once you get in, the water's warm, especially at Lakeview Beach. That's only an hour's drive from here.
Oh, no, I'm afraid I don't care much for beaches, Miss Brooks. They're bad for my sinus trouble.
Oh.
But I like swimming in a pool, though.
Wonderful. Mr. Boynton, let's go for a swim in your pool.
Oh, I'm afraid that's impossible, Miss Brooks. My pool's at the YMCA.
Oh, I guess it would alter their routine a bit if I were to walk in there. Oh, I know what we might do. Work on your lawn for a while.
Oh, I don't have a lawn, Miss Brooks. I live in a bachelor apartment. All I've got is a window box.
Perfect. That's just what we'll do.
What's just what we'll do?
We'll put on bathing suits and water your window box.
Why do we have to put on bathing suits to water a window box?
Well, all right. You wear what you want, and I'll wear what I want.
I'm afraid I won't be free this afternoon, Miss Brooks. You see, I've been searching high and low for another frog like my pet, McDougal. He's a Leptodactylus pentodactylus, you know.
Oh, that's obvious.
I can't seem to find one anywhere. None of the laboratory supply houses handle them, and, well, I've just got to get one for an experiment.
Well, if I bump into one, I'll give you a buzz. Now, if you'll excuse me, Mr. Boynton, I'm going over to the dessert counter. It's getting pretty crowded in here.
Well, is there something I can get for you, Miss Brooks?
No, I rather enjoy the exercise. I can still get a good post position right on the rail. See you in a few minutes.
Oops.
Oh, I'm terribly sorry, sir. It was all my fault.
Yes, it was, Miss Brooks.
Mr. Conklin! Ha, I didn't recognize you. You've got new glasses on.
I wish you had them on.
Oh, sit down, Mr. Conklin. I'll replace everything you had on your tray. Now, what can I get you?
Well, suppose we start out with some nice split pea soup.
Split pea soup. Yes, sir. About how much?
About as much as I now have in my vest pocket.
Oh.
Miss Brooks, after you've served me and before you go back to your classroom, stop at the bulletin board, will you?
The bulletin board?
Yes, there's a picture of me on it. And I'd like you to see just how this suit looked before I met you.
There. That'll teach him to call me a boob.
It sure looks funny, Walter. Miss Brooks in a bathing suit with Mr. Conklin's head nailed on the shoulders. This won't get Miss Brooks in trouble, will it, Walter?
How can it get her in trouble? These could be anybody's legs.
Anybody but Mr. Conklin's, that is.
Let's get out of here, Stretch. Somebody's coming.
Okay, but I'd sure like to see Mr. Conklin's face when he spots his picture.
Well, here's the bulletin board, Mr. Boynton. Mr. Boynton, do you see what I see?
Oh, yes, I think so, Miss Brooks. Is this the suit Mr. Conklin wanted you to see him in?
That happens to be me, Mr. Boynton. It was taken at Lakeview Beach.
You? Oh, that must be a pretty old snapshot. Frankly, I like you better without the mustache.
Thank you. I'm a lot less bald now, too. Those darn kids must have put my picture over Mr. Conklin's for a rib, but if he finds out this is my picture, he'll take my head off permanently.
Maybe we will drive to Lakeview Beach this afternoon. But first, I'd better get this picture down, Miss Brooks. Oh, they didn't use thumbtacks. These are real nails, and they're hammered way in.
Oh, I better find a hammer to pick them out with. Come on, Mr. Boynton. The keys to the supply room are in Mr. Conklin's office.
Now here's his door, Miss Brooks, but I'd better knock.
Oh, don't bother. Mr. Conklin must still be at lunch. You wait here. I'll go in and get the key.
How do you do?
I was just coming in, Mr. Conklin.
I was just going out, Miss Brooks.
I thought you were still in the cafeteria.
I wish I were. Just for a moment, gaze upon me. It will be evident even to you that by banging the door in my face, you have broken my glasses. The regrettable fact remains, however, that even without my glasses, I can still see you.
I just wanted to get a hammer, Mr. Conklin.
A hammer? You've done a splendid job without a hammer, Miss Brooks. Call me a foolish dreamer if you will, but somehow I had hoped that today's pocket ripping and soup spilling would appease your voracious appetite for mayhem. But no, for the second time in a few days, you have shattered my glasses.
Oh, please, Mr. Conklin, I can't stand this war of nerves. If you hold me responsible for those accidents, why are you so restrained? You've got high blood pressure. Use it. Give me a good, loud dressing down and get it out of your system.
Miss Brooks, such crude behavior would be unbecoming to the principal of a high school. To lose control in the presence of others is to betray ill breeding. Now then, would you be good enough to excuse me for a moment while I walk over to that closet?
Of course, Mr. Conklin.
Thank you, my dear. I feel much better now. And here, I found a hammer in the closet. You may have it, Miss Brooks.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Conklin. I'll just take this. Oh, I'm sorry I dropped the hammer on your foot, Mr. Conklin.
Oh, that's all right. I have another foot.
Miss Brooks, could I see you for a minute?
Why, Stretch, school's been out for 10 seconds. Why are you loitering in the hall?
Well, I've been looking for you, Miss Brooks. I even asked Mr. Conklin if he knew where you were. But funny thing, the minute I mentioned your name, he ran into the closet.
Yes, I know.
Why'd he do that, Miss Brooks?
Quiet, Stretch. That's why. Now, what is it you wanted to see me about, Stretch?
Well, Harriet Conklin wanted a full-figure picture of you for the yearbook, so I pasted your head to the lower part of that picture we took off the bulletin board.
Huh. I've never had a full-figure picture in the yearbook. Well, I guess Friday the 13th isn't so unlucky after all. Unless you happen to be Mr. Conklin.
Oh, there you are, Miss Brooks. Isn't it terrible?
Is it what terrible, Walter?
Harriet Conklin just got the proofs back for the yearbook. But look at the snapshot section. Look here where it says, "This is our Miss Brooks."
Oh, let's see it. Oh, no. Stretch, you pasted the wrong parts together. This is a picture of my face attached to a blubbery body wearing a black sharkskin suit.
Well, gee, maybe there is something to Friday the 13th.
Oh, it's an awful break, Miss Brooks. every teacher and student at Madison will see this. You'll be the laughing stock of the whole school.
Gosh, I wouldn't blame you if you bursted out crying.
Not me, boys. To lose control in the presence of others is to betray ill breeding. Would you excuse me a minute?
And now, Miss Brooks?
I just want to borrow your closet, Mr. Conklin.
Our Miss Brooks returns in just a moment. But first...
Dream girl, beautiful luster cream girl.
Tonight, show him how much lovelier your hair can look after a Luster Cream shampoo. Only Luster Cream brings you K. Dumas's magic formula blend of secret ingredients, plus gentle lanolin, gives loveliness lather even in the hardest of waters, glamorizes your hair as you wash it. Luster Cream, not a soap, not a liquid, but a dainty cream shampoo. Leaves hair fragrantly clean, free of loose dandruff, glistening with sheen, soft, manageable. Gives new beauty to all hairdos or permanents. 4-ounce jar, just $1. Smaller sizes, either tubes or jars. Tonight, try Luster Cream shampoo and be a...
Dream girl, beautiful luster cream girl. You owe your crowning glory to a luster cream shampoo.
And now, once again, here is our Miss Brooks.
Well, it looked as if the day might end a little better than it began when Mr. Boynton took my arm as we were leaving the school and said...
Let's hurry, Miss Brooks. I'd like to get out to Lakeview Beach while the sun's still out.
Oh, fine, Mr. Boynton. But let's stop at the house and pick up my French bathing suit.
Oh, you won't need a bathing suit, Miss Brooks.
Then why are we going to Lakeview Beach?
Oh, because of the picture of you on the bulletin board? We've got to stop at that same spot where the picture was taken.
But why?
Well, I noticed in the snapshot there was a Leptodactylus pentadactylus frog right near your left foot.
If you don't mind, Mr. Boynton, I'd still like to pick up my bathing suit.
What for?
If it fits the frog, you two can go steady.
You've been listening to our Miss Brooks, presented as a tribute by the Icebox Radio Theater. Tonight's episode, entitled Friday the 13th, featured Ayla McIntosh as Mrs. Davis, Cody Boyer as Walter, Justin Kapla as Stretch, Karen Schickel as Harriet, Douglas Grief as Mr. Conklin, Tom Bement as Mr. Boynton. Sound effects by Dave Irwin and Jeffrey Adams. Our musical director, Mr. Myron Howerlick. And ladies and gentlemen, our Miss Brooks, Victoria Olson. You know, I looked it up. 11 years ago, Victoria Olson came to an audition, and within a few short weeks, she was crushed to death by giant worms. I hope we've given you a little more dignity before that, but I am saddened to announce that this will be Victoria's last live show with us. She's relocating to the cities, so from now on, she'll be working over the phone, right?
Long distance.
Long
yes.
distance. So these are for you. Thank you very much for all the memories.
Thank you.
And safe travels. That's our show for tonight. Thank you to everyone in the park. Thank you also to everyone listening on Facebook. Our website is still iceboxradio.org. It ain't raining. Let's go home. Good night.